We're heading to the Lone Star State, and today we're talking Still Austin's Blue Corn Bourbon Whiskey. We're going to talk about that today on the My Bourbon Journey Whiskey Review channel. Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. Greatly appreciate it. So this has become for me maybe my top one or two whiskeys or brands coming out of the state of Texas. And what it is that Still Austin is doing and has been doing needs to gain a little bit more traction. And I think what they've done specifically with the whiskey or bourbon that we're going to be talking about today, the Blue Corn straight bourbon whiskey, this needs to be something that I think everyone gives a try to. I had mentioned before that this is a brand that really over the course of the last maybe year, maybe 2 years, have really started to pay a little bit more attention to, and maybe for me overall fits my profile the best. So I'm excited to get into this Blue Corn bourbon whiskey, which is a new release for the winter of 2023. So again, excited to kind of dive into this, and hopefully this will help spotlight or showcase what it is that Still Austin is really doing and the great whiskeys that they're able to share with all of us. So what exactly is the Blue Corn bourbon whiskey all about? So this is coming in at 100 proof. This is their bottled and bond. Mash bill on this is 26% blue corn, 23% white corn, 44% rye, and 5% malted barley. With it being a bottle and bond, it's going to be a minimum of 4 years old, and the MSRP on this is coming in at right around that $80 price point. So the color on this, as you can see, kind of a nice kind of burnt orange, moving the whiskey around in the glass a little bit. Love to see kind of how some of the oils are sticking to the glass. And admittedly, for 100 proof, this is actually holding up pretty well. Nice oils kind of lingering there on the glass. So let's go ahead and dive into the nose and see what this one's going to give us. So admittedly, right out of the gate, incredible fresh, almost feels like a warm caramel that's there. Really beautiful, like butterscotch note. Smells rich, smells creamy. Really nice kind of light to medium like barrel char note. Also picking up on, I'm going to say like a little bit of a barbecue note. And not that it's heavy, because I'm not a fan of a lot of smoke. There is a little bit of that kind of barrel char influence, but it's almost giving me a feeling of bacon. There's something that's there that's giving me this kind of bacon type of feel. And something obviously that I love. Really nice kind of honey note. Beautiful dark fruits. A little bit of that kind of like leather, tobacco, really nice nose. I mean, for 100 proof, this thing has a lot going on for it. Beautiful nose. Almost this kind of slight like floral note. Again, I mentioned honey that's there. Maybe a little bit of like a graham cracker crust. Almost feels like a little bit of a mint note that's there as well. Maybe a hint of chocolate right there at the end. I want to say maybe like a little bit of like an Andes Candies feel to it. Overall, beautiful nose. I mean, at 100 proof, this thing is kind of nosing much richer and much more along the lines of a higher proof whiskey than 100. It's giving me an awful lot on the nose. But the most important part is what this one's going to taste like. Cheers. So not always something you get, but my very first thought is the mouthfeel. The creamy texture has this nice kind of velvety feel to it. Really hoping that really sets everything up kind of going forward. So like I got on the nose, there's this really nice, rich, like warm caramel, butterscotch note, nice spice. Again, you're going to get a little bit of those barrel notes that are there. That's just something you're going to get with the Texas whiskeys. Due to the heat and everything that they have, there's a lot of barrel interaction with that whiskey, within the barrel. You're just not going to get around that, but it's not overpowering to the point where it's off-putting. It just lets you know that there's a little bit of a barrel influence on this, that's combining so far with those kind of rich, warm caramels, butterscotch notes that are there right away. I'm also gonna say that you are picking up a little bit of the corn presence, the grain that's there. But what I mean by that is this doesn't come across as a young whiskey. You're just tasting that corn influence that's there. You know, in addition to the corn, quickly there following is that heavy rye spice. This is a really high rye bourbon. What I'm loving about this is the blend of the higher corn and the higher rye part of it. So you're getting a lot of those really nice rye notes, a little bit of mint that's combining with that corn sweetness. And it feels like you're pulling out each one of those grain components while you're sipping on it. So it's something that's very different and unique, all while still feeling very normal. Hopefully it makes a little bit of sense because it's a very easy sipping bourbon. And what I love about it is the richness, the complexity, that balance that it has to it, and being able to kind of pull out the different grain notes individually, all while them still kind of blending really, really well together. So it's something for me that I had mentioned before, for a Texas whiskey, really, really fits my palate extremely well. In addition to maybe some of the barrel char, there's this kind of earthiness that's there to it. So it feels like there's this maybe strong or heavier kind of like black tea or like a leather component, something along those lines. There is that like real deep, dark kind of earthiness, richness, all still while blending really well with the two corns, the blue and the white corn. So for me, this is something that I think elevates this into a category of something not only different and unique, because I think oftentimes people will interpret different and unique as not good. I'm gonna look at this as different and unique in a very good way. I'm loving the balance of the earthiness, the oak components, some of the corn, some of the rye. It is definitely something that I think a lot of people aren't going to be overly familiar with. I think when you try this very early on, it's going to be something that you really, truly will enjoy. If I had to sum this up, I'm going to say it's just a very enjoyable bourbon. It's something that you can sit down with and just simply enjoy. Enjoy what it has to offer, because I don't think it's something that we get an opportunity to try this kind of profile very often. And when you get a chance, I think this being that perfect opportunity, it feels like something that I want to tell everybody, get this. I think you're going to really, truly, truly enjoy what this has to offer. It also feels like the more you sip on it, the more it's going to kind of change. And again, that's not something that you talk much about with a whiskey or a bourbon at 100 proof. Usually that becomes something that's very kind of just right there. You're not going to get a lot from, but this is completely different. This is really drinking more along the lines of what a barrel proof whiskey kind of has to offer. So again, something very, very different and unique in a very, very good way. So at the end of the day, I think this is leaving you with a lot of that sweet and savory kind of complexity to this whiskey. It's going to be something that I think as you sit down with it and enjoy it, you're going to get a lot of these different flavors, different profiles. And to me, that's a fantastic thing in a whiskey. And what this is offering, again, at 100 proof, I think is absolutely fantastic. So again, this is why Still Austin for me has quickly become maybe my favorite whiskey and brand coming out of the state of Texas, and rightfully so. I think what they've done is they've made their whiskeys so approachable for a lot of people around the country, around the world, wherever it is that you're getting this whiskey, and that's a great thing. So at the end of the day, I would highly recommend you find this bourbon specifically. Again, this is their winter 2023 release of their Blue Corn bourbon whiskey. So with that, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for all the support. If you'd like to follow me, you can on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of those places at My Bourbon Journey. If you'd like to help support the channel and become part of the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club, make sure you check out that Patreon link in the description below. Thank you guys again, and remember, it's about the journey and not the destination. Cheers.
Tennessee, you can hear a rolling night every song meets, picking through the daisies and dogwood trees, a little chicken pick